Hey folks, it's William from All Solar Texas. Part of what we do here on the channel is we want to keep you appraised of current events and how those current events tie into energy policy and some of the things that we're seeing across the industry, whether or not you're looking for solar, batteries, or generators, or just want to stay in touch with what's going on in the industry. We want to be that source for you. So I'm going to provide a little bit of commentary here from my perspective on the fantastic interview between Trump and Elon Musk. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube, check it out. They broadcast it on X, and yes, it broke all kinds of records, which was pretty interesting, and it says a lot about what independents are thinking, independent voters, and they're wanting to hear more from the former president. But what I want to comment on today is specifically the energy policy discussion that they had. There were three key areas that Trump and Elon Musk touched on, and although they varied a little bit in each individual's opinion, Trump has one perspective and Elon Musk has more of a moderate perspective on energy policy. You cannot deny that the contents of that discussion are actually very accurate, and it paints a very real picture of where we're at as a nation. First, let's take a quick listen to what they had to say about the broader energy policy and how that is going to affect inflation and affect prices here at home.
But if you think about, let's go back to the economy. We have to bring energy prices down. Energy started at the price of gasoline. Now, your cars don't require too much gasoline, so you have a good, and you do make a great product, I have to say. I have to be honest with you. That doesn't mean everybody should have an electric car, but these are minor details. But your product is incredible. But the gasoline, Elon, is the cost of energy. Not only gasoline, it's the cost of heating your house and cooling your house. That has to come down. It's gone up 100%, 150, and 200%, and that has to come down. When that comes down, and we're going to drill, baby, drill. They stopped.
Now, how is energy policy tied directly to inflation? Well, Trump is right. If you lower energy costs, then that cascades all the way up to lower transportation costs, lower costs for the actual product, lower costs for manufacturing that product because energy prices are lower, and it does bring down overall inflation if you're able to provide cheaper energy. Now, Trump's not wrong. If you take a look at some of the policies that his administration put forth versus the current administration, there is a stark difference when it comes to energy policy specifically. Here at All Solar Texas, our primary goal is to provide customers with energy independence, and that takes all different types of forms. So whether or not it's oil, it's natural gas, otherwise known as fossil fuels, blended with renewable energies, whatever it takes to get that customer or that business energy independent is what we personally support, and that is the blend of energy products that we really look at when we're trying to develop a whole home or whole business off-grid, fully automated, fully self-reliant system. Now, one of the next things that they talk about is EV chargers. So Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, he is obviously a big supporter of the electric vehicle movement. Now, this is where he kind of differs a little bit from Trump. He knows that decarbonization as a long-term policy actually is a good thing. There's a certain parts per million that we cannot exceed, and otherwise it'd be very difficult to breathe. Trump seems to think that that process will take a little longer, but either way they could both agree that it's not an imminent threat today, which means that we can ease into the EV revolution. We do not need to, across the board, ban the manufacture of gasoline engines and diesel engines by 2030 or 2045 or whatever some of these individual states are doing, and whatever's being done federally just doesn't make sense, because we need to bridge between the gas combustion engine and the electric vehicle charging battery. There needs to be a bridge there, and it's not going to be something that we could force quickly, certainly not if we want to make things affordable and cost effective in order for customers to adopt that product. So what Elon is simply acknowledging is that we have some time to make this transition. Ultimately, we do need a transition to a cleaner source of energy, but it's not as dire as some people may think, and it doesn't have to happen right now. We certainly don't want to cripple our economy while making that transition.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I should probably say something about, like, maybe my views on, climate change and oil and gas. because I think it's probably different from what most people would assume. Because my views are actually pretty, I think, moderate in this regard, which is that I don't think we should vilify the oil and gas industry and the people that have worked very hard in those industries to provide the necessary energy to support the economy. And if we were to stop using oil and gas right now, we would all be starving, and the economy would collapse. So it's, I don't think it's right to sort of vilify the oil and gas industry. And the world has a certain demand for oil and gas, and it's probably better if the United States provides that than some other countries. Sure. And it would help with prosperity in the U.S. And at the same time, obviously, my view is like we do over time want to move to a sustainable energy economy, because eventually you do run out of. I mean, you run out of oil and gas. It's not there. It's not infinite. And there is some risk. I think the risk is not as high as a lot of people say it is with respect to global warming. But I think if you just keep increasing the parts per million in the atmosphere long enough, eventually it actually simply gets uncomfortable to breathe. People don't realize this. If you go past 1,000 parts per million of CO2, you start getting headaches and nausea. And so we're now in the sort of 400 range. We're adding, I think, about roughly 2 parts per million per year. So I mean, it still gives us. So what it means is like we still have quite a bit of time, but so there's not like we don't need to rush, and we don't need to stop farmers from farming or prevent people from having steaks or basic stuff like that.
Now let's take a look at what they have to say about one of the major loads that is now coming online to the grid, specifically here in Texas. It's about data centers and the revolution of AI. Let's take a listen.
And I know you're a big fan of the AI, and I have to say that AI, and this is shocking to me, but AI requires twice the energy that the country already produces for everything. So we're going to have to build a lot of energy if our country will be competitive with China, because that's our primary competitor for this on the AI. You're going to need a lot of electricity. You're going to need tremendous electricity, like almost double what we produce now for the whole country, if you can believe it.
Data centers are going to be a significant load on the Texas grid, and from all accounts, that's what we see is going on. Oracle moved here, Tesla moved here. We're seeing other corporations, specifically in the IT sector, moving here. Apple is here, and so what we're going to see is a huge construction boom associated with the AI revolution that's going to require so much more energy than what we can actually support from a grid perspective. Also, it's very difficult to support if we're just looking at renewable energies. Why? It's because the sun isn't always shining. So solar provides a wonderful baseline to that load if we're able to produce during the day, but it does nothing for us at night. Wind and windmills, those produce greatly when you have wind, but we need to make sure that we're able to introduce an energy source that balances all of these different demands throughout the different types of environments that we see and throughout an entire 24-hour period. So that's where you're going to see a demand for a blend between a natural gas and oil, which is typically a fossil fuel, along with a renewable energy source. All of these sources have to be available and working together and to be really part of an energy portfolio in order for the additional loads that we're going to see specifically with the AI revolution in data centers, in order for that to be even viable and something that our grid can support without completely breaking down and failing. One of the last topics of conversation had to do with nuclear energy as part of the energy policy. Let's take a listen.
There's the bad side of nuclear, which is a nuclear war, very bad side. But there's also, I think, nuclear electricity generation is underrated.
You're right.
And it's actually, people have this fear of nuclear electricity generation, but it's actually one of the safest forms of electricity generation. It's just a huge misunderstanding. And if you look at the injuries and deaths, caused by, say, I mean, I'm not going to try to pick on coal mining, but just any kind of mining operation. Right. There's a certain number of injuries and deaths per year. And you compare that to nuclear. Nuclear is actually way better. So it's underrated as an electricity source, and I think it's something that's worth reconsidering. But there's so much regulation that people
Now, if
can't
you look
get it
at
done.
all the different types of energy sources that we currently have available, nuclear is incredibly underutilized and undervalued as a source. Nuclear generation is much more efficient. It is cheaper in many regards once you look at the whole lifespan of the facility and you're comparing it to the maintenance and operation costs of some other fuel sources. But just the pure abundance and output of nuclear energy is really a viable option that many of us don't want to consider because of NIMBY, not in my backyard. What Elon Musk is proposing here and what Trump seems to kind of come on board with is that we need a diverse portfolio of energy products here in the United States. America could be a leader in energy production. They could be a leader in an exporter of excess energy. If we take a look at Alaska with Anwar, if we take a look at here in Texas, if we look into nuclear energy, we need all sources of energy as part of a comprehensive portfolio in order for our economy to develop, to grow, and for us to continue to scale at the current size that we're hoping is going to be sustainable for the population that we see kind of gradually building. Now here in Texas, we have a different crisis altogether. We have our own grid that isn't sufficient enough as it is for the current population. Yet we have an increase in our population that's going up dramatically. So within the next 10 years, we very well could be the largest state in the union when it comes to population. How are we supposed to provide enough electric infrastructure and enough electric capacity to meet the needs of both the residential customer and the business customer, especially when you layer in electric vehicles as part of the distribution profile, along with some of the other larger needs of businesses like data centers and these large manufacturing centers that are coming to this great state. So if you have any questions about solar or about batteries, whether or not you're a residential customer or you're a commercial customer, reach out to All Solar Texas. Check us out. Check out our website. We're happy to work with you and help you to become more energy independent. That's really what we specialize in. We don't have a certain particular niche customer, let's say, that we focus on. If you have an energy problem and we're able to solve it, we would love to work with you. So please reach out. And thank you so much for watching today. And we'll continue to stay on top of all the energy news related to Texas and more broad energy policy across the nation. Thank you so much, and God bless.